Namaskar, brothers and sisters, ladies and gentlemen, students, scholars, teachers, trainers, professors, professionals, listener, learners, officer, officials. I welcome respected doctors and directors. I welcome honorable ministers and managers. I welcome honorable advocates, advisors, administrators, advisors. I Dr. Rakeshwar USA, heartily cordially welcome. It is really nice time, nice place, nice session. We are defining, explaining, describing on historical, economical, political, social changes that we see around us in the form of unity and diversity. What is happening around us? Let's go through today. Driver, doctor, accused in blast case, visited at 14 January. One of them visited Turkey a few years ago. Officials suspect that during the visit, accused doctor met one of his handlers from the Jaish-e-Mohammed Faridabad police traced it for EcoSport car linked to blast to village to Haryana. News from New Delhi. Security officials investigating the car explosion near the Red Fort on November 10 said on Wednesday that one of the accused in the case, a doctor and the driver of the explosives laden vehicle, also believed to be a doctor, had visited the monument in January this year. Officials that they found a photo of Dr. Umar Nabi, believed to the sole occupant of the car, and Dr. Muzamil Ahmed Ghanil, 32, visiting the Radford in January. While Dr. Nabi was killed in the explosion, Dr. Ghanil was arrested by Jammu and Kashmir police on October 30. The photo was retrieved from Dr. Ghanil's phone they shared. The doctors hailing from Pulwama in South Kashmir were working at Al Falah University in Faridabad, Haryana. A senior government official said Dr. Ghani had his brother's visit to Turkey a few years ago was also under investigation. Officials suspect that during the visit, the accused doctor met one of his handlers from the Jaish-e-Mohammed, a Pakistan-based terror outfit. The Faridabad police on Wednesday evening traced a Red Ford EcoSport car with registration number DLIO CK0458 flagged by the Delhi police and linked to the November 10 blast. The village name Khandawali. The Delhi police sounded an alert for the car said to be purchased by members of the JLK terror module. The vehicle was found parked at a house in Pandavali village in Haryana, a police spokesperson said. Forensic experts are examining the vehicle, the spokesperson said. The National Investigation Agency, the Delhi Police, and the JNK Police also conducted raids at several places. Al-Fala University distances itself from accused. Modi-led cabinet describes blast as terrorist incident. From New Delhi, Prime Minister Narendra Modi-led Union Cabinet on Wednesday described the car explosion near the Red Fort as a terrorist incident, expressing grief over the loss of lives and directing that the investigation be pursued with utmost urgency. Exit polls are pressure-driven, says Tejasvi from Patna. RJD leader Tejasvi Yadav on Wednesday claimed that exit polls were conducted under pressure and published by the media women while people were casting votes in the Bihar Assembly election. Malnutrition deaths. High Court rapes Maharashtra government. Mumbai, the Bombay High Court on Wednesday pulled up the Maharashtra government at the center for an extremely casual approach in handling malnutrition among infants in the state. 65 infants have died due to malnutrition since June this year. Two killed, 20 injured in boiler explosion at Gujarat Pharma Unit. From Ahmedabad, at least two workers were killed and 20 injured in a boiler explosion at a pharmaceutical factory in Bharuch district of Gujarat in the early hours of Wednesday, officials said. The factory in the Sheka GIDC area collapsed in the impact of the blast that occurred around 2:30 a.m. They said the blast triggered a massive fire. While most workers managed to escape, two were trapped under the debris and died. Their bodies were recovered after the fire. Their bodies were recovered after the fire was brought under control. They shared. Nearly 20 workers sustained minor injuries and were provided treatment. Authorities are verifying reports about one more missing worker. Officials from the Directorate of Industrial Safety and Health have reached the spot to probe the cause of the explosion and check whether the factory possessed the required licenses and safety clearances. Retail inflation hits record low of 0.25% from New Delhi. Retail inflation fell to a historical low of 0.25% in October, with the government attributing this fall to the first full month's impact of GST rate cuts, a favorable base effect, a drop drop inflation of several flood items such as vegetables and fruits. According to the government, this is the lowest rate of inflation measured in the current series of the consumer price index. That is, it is the lowest rate of inflation since January 12, 2012. The data reveals that the fall in overall inflation is largely due to the statistical impact of the base effect on food inflation. All high courts should upload details of time taken by judges to dilute verdicts, Supreme Court says. Justice Suriakant, Supreme Court judge, says let everybody know how many judgments have been reserved by any judge and how many are pronounced within how many days the judgments are made available in the public domain and how many days high courts actually take to upload judgments. News from New Delhi, the Supreme Court on Wednesday said all high courts should put out in the public domain time taken by their judges to pronounce verdicts in pending cases. The bench of Justices Suryakant and Joymala Bagchi was hearing a plea by four life convicts from the scheduled tribes and other backward classes. They had complained that the Jharkhand High Court had not pronounced its verdicts on their criminal appeals even after reserving the cases for judgment 2 to 3 years ago. There are no specific timelines within which judges have to deliver verdicts. The convention is that they ought to pronounce judgments within a reasonable time from 2 to 6 months of reserving cases. However, judges, including in the Supreme Court and the High Court, have in practice reserved judgments for well over a year before delivering them. This may be due to the complexity of the question of law involved or the burden of work. Justice Kant, who is Chief Justice of India, designate indicated that reforms and transparency in judicial functioning must not be linked to litigants alone. It should also meet the legitimate expectations of the public at large. Let everybody know how many judgments have been reserved by any judge and how many are pronounced within how many days the judgments are made available in the public domain and how many days high courts take to upload judgments they observe. 35th Martyrdom Day, Shri Guru Tegh Bahadur Ji, Bhai Matidas Ji, Bhai Satidas Ji, Bhai Dayalla Ji, united in spirit, let us all pay obeisance at Shri Anandpur Sahib, 23 to 25 November 2025, Department of Information and Public Relations, Punjab, a fire that fails to die down. The residents of Ambiathod village in Kerala's Kozhikode, who have been peacefully protesting for 6 years against a poultry waste treatment plant, were recently found in the middle of an arson and police action, which resulted in damage to property and injuries to many. The dust has settled somewhat, but the complaints about pollution persist, report. Walking past the chair remains of the carriage vehicles on the premises of fresh cut organic products private limited poultry waste rendering unit of Ambethod in Kati Para Panchayat Kozhikode, Ishaq Jacob, an employee of the plant, paused for the moment. The cracked metal parts of the vehicles, their burnt fabric and molten plastic interiors, and thick layers of soot and the charred remains of the building reminded him of the violent incidents that unfolded on the campus a few days ago. A 6 year long protest against the alleged air and water pollution caused by the worst treatment plant suddenly turned violent on the even the evening of October 21. An angry mob of over 200 people reportedly stormed the factory premises and set vehicles and buildings on fire, causing widespread damage. Women and children at the protest site lay or covered as chaos unfolded. In no time, a few miscreants reportedly entered the factory's hazardous areas, attacked the laborers, and lost a portion of the factory as many as 14 vehicles indicating, including pickup vans and motorbikes, were destroyed in the act of fury. The area resembled a war zone with fire furiously spreading across the vehicles parked on the campus and parts of the company buildings. Someone was heard shouting to fellow arsonists. The screams of the scared employees who fled the scene got drowned in the cacophony of noises. Someone alerted the firefighters. Police personnel sprang into action and tried to disperse the arsonists. It was chaotic. Recounts Srijit, an employee of the electrical division of the plant, who was seriously injured in the violence, is convalescent, is convalescent at a private hospital after undergoing two surgeries. Prohibitory ordered prohibitory orders imposed. 2 weeks later, an uneasy calm prevails on the campus. The prohibitory orders imposed by the district administration have slowed down the pace of life, yet normalcy is slowly returning under the watchful eyes of police personnel. Fear was written on Ishar's face as he quickly moved through the yard past the debris to enter the party gutted building of the company, which is in the thick of a rigging, in the thick of a rigging controversy. The trigger of the violence, according to some protesters, was an attempt by the police to clear the way for a few waste-laden vehicles to the factories. Ignoring the protesters, the efforts of the police to disperse the crowd using tear gas shells infuriated the protesters who retaliated with stone pelting, say some eyewitnesses. The action committee leaders who were spearheading the agitation say they were caught unawares by the sudden turn of events. We have never resorted to aggressive protest in these 6 years. Our agitation was first on the pollution caused by the unit. A thorough investigation needs to be carried out to identify the miscreants who infiltrated the protest and sparked trouble. Demands Harpi Kanthali, the chief patron of the action committee, while tracking down the criminal elements, the police should not victimize innocent local people who are fighting for a rightful cause. We demand the 22 crore rupees factory processes waste from the poultry rendering units in the district into raw material for pet food. The unit, which began commercial operations in 2019, has an installed capacity to process 25 tons of poultry waste a day. Right from its initial days of operation, it has encountered stiff public resistance. The stench from the factory has made our life miserable. The nearly 5,000 residents of the Cherry, Katipada Hamaraseri and Omaseri panchayats have been severely affected by the air pollution caused by the factory. Yet the company officials are unwilling to listen to the grievances of the residents. Complaints have to Complaints Hanke, a former vice president of Gordon Cherry Grama Panchayat, Premi James, president of the Katipada Grama Panchayat, says the Panchayat has not given clearance to the factory to operate in the area. The factory operators managed to secure clearances from affiliate authorities and overcome the objections of the local body, says Premji. R.K. Jeenat, a homemaker from Keribala, Kunu, a village close by, says she is worried about her 72-year-old father who is battling respiratory illness, apparently triggered by the air pollution. Several residents of the nearby village who are facing similar health issues, she says. Many residents complain that authorities are keen to protect the interest of the investors rather than the villagers. Environmentalists voiced similar concerns. TV Rajan, State General Secretary of Green Movement, an environmental organization based in Kozhikode, says a fact-finding team will visit the affected areas to take stock of the situation. PKA Aziz, another environmental activist, holds the firm responsible for water pollution. PK Subra and Fatima, residents of Komasheri Panchayat, endorse his contention, complaining that the Irath River, their main source of water, is being polluted by the effluents discharged from the factories. Skid diseases, including allergies, have become common in the area. They complain. The nauseating stench from the factories is Fatima Shifa, a resident of Amar Sari Panchayat, is forcing the villagers to host family functions at distant locations. The factory needs to be closed down, she assures. These complaints had prompted a small group of residents to stage daily protest outside the factory since its inception. On October 21, a much larger group assembled in front of the unit, demanding its closure. It was amidst this protest that violence erupted and untoward incidents ensued. Action Council blames police. Now, peace has made a slow comeback with District Collector Snehil Kumar Singh offering to look into the villagers' concern. The police investigation into the incidents and the hunt for the miscreants have taken the center stage now and put the reported pollution caused by the factory and the subsequent public protest on the back burner. A senior member of the action committee blamed the police for triggering the violent incidents had the police not hurled tear gas shells. No clash would have erupted. The police provoked the protesters and tried to forcefully suppress the agitation. Their handling of women and children was inhumane. He complained. A special investigation team led by DSG Yathish Chandra, which is investigating the case, has picked up 18 persons who are suspected to have been involved in the arson and related violence. Several members of the Action Council and police personnel were injured in the incidents. We suspect that some criminal elements had infiltrated into the protest and changed its course. The police are looking for those who have triggered the violence. Cases have been booked against over 300 identifiable persons with suspected links to the incident. The factory was set on fire when the laborers were at work. There were even attempts to prevent the firefighters, say the police officials who preferred anonymity. The company stands a theory that a rivalry between some former business partners no world into violent incidents is also doing the rounds. Sujesh Kolothodi, the managing director of the company, suspects the involvement of some external elements who, according to him, provided the ammunition and logical support to convert the peaceful protest into a violent one. An impartial probe needs to be carried out to identify the culprits. The violence caused the firm a loss of 3 crore rupees. He says the unit had been following all norms. We are open to any regulatory checks and evaluations by the competent authorities. The allegations against the company are unfounded, asserts Sujish. The Kodincherry village panchayats authorities are not in favor of the centralized waste treatment model, like the controversial one, which according to them is the priority model of the state authorities. Huge quantities of waste are brought in from different parts of the district to a centralized plant. The state government should not promote such units. We need decentralized waste treatment units, suggests Alex Thomas Baskari, chairperson of the local body. Clearance given the factory is yet to resume its operation, though the din and dust over the violent protest has subsided. The district level facilitation and monitoring committee has given its clearance following the inspections carried out by the Kerala State Pollution Control Board and the Suchitwa Mission. However, the factory authorities say the unit will start functioning only after a thorough safety audit as the fire has damaged parts of the building. Srijit and other members of the Action Council will recover from the injuries and bounce back to life in the near future. However, the frightening memories of the October 21 are unlikely to fade anytime soon. Arjun, Hari Krishna, and Pragi stay in contention from Aprora Goa. No idiom one on Wednesday, that is something you hardly get to say in chess these days, but that has been the case for the last 2 days. Two Indians, in fact, were knocked out of the chess World Cup at Resort Rio. But we, Arnav and Karthik Ventraman, can head for home with their head held high as they were beaten by stronger rivals. Nodirbek, Yakuboyek of Uzbekistan, and Li Wang Lim of Vietnam, respectively. They had done exceedingly well to have reached the round of 32. Arnav had started out as the 16th seed and Karthik as the 109th. What is Kramnik's problem? It is not his job to get involved. From Aprora Goa. Loic Valley was Vladimir Kramnik's second. The Dutchman thinks the former world champion should not have been making all those accusations against players like Daniel Narodowski, the popular American grandmaster who died tragically recently. World Chess Governing Body FIDE has filed a complaint about Kremlin to its Ethics Commission following its public allegations against Narodowski and David Navara. I know when chess players have been under stress for such a long time and working so hard. One where he told the Hindu here, I have the feeling that the guy simply has lost it. You could see those crazy press conferences. Felix and Giuseppe Post was win in the ATP finals from Turin, Canada's Felix Auger Aliassime came from a set down to earn his first victory at this year's ATP final with a 4 to 6, 7 to 6, 7 to 5 win over American Ben Shelton in the Belgian group on Wednesday. Meanwhile, in the Jimmy Canas group on Tuesday, Italian Lorenzo Musetti also made a remarkable comeback from the brink to defeat Alex de Minaur. Uppal wants India to be ambitious and fearless from Bangalore. India captain Vishal Uppal wants his players to take a fearless approach in the Billie Jean King Cup playoffs, which commences here on Friday. The likes of Sahaja, Yamlapalli, Sirivali, Gamide, Pathi, Ankita Reina, and others will face tough competition from Slovenia and Netherlands. But Uppal places immense faith in his crew. We want to take the court with the right energy and take the fight to our opponents. Our opponents are much higher ranked, but we like the underdog story. I want my team to be ambitious, be fearless. Durham set to feature as specialist batter instead does Chad. The 24-year-old has been in terrific form with a below slamming, slamming for hundreds in his last eight first-class innings. All-rounder Nitish being released from the Test squad also points towards the wicketkeeper batter's inclusion from Kolkata. Teams generally tend to keep the cards close to their chest with regard to the selection of playing personnel, with a glorious exception of England, which plays cricket like poker, but doesn't quite believe in the bluff beforehand, for it announces the test 11 at least a day prior. Most teams keep on lookers guessing, but ahead of the first test between India and South Africa beginning from Friday at the Eden Garden here, one player through the sheer weight of his recent performances had forced even the usually gassy Indian think tank to all but confirm his selection. Dhruv Jurel, India's assistant coach Ian Can Rothschild on Wednesday said that Jurel cannot be left out, and one can see why. In his last eight first-class innings, the wicket-keeper batter has 400s, all of them 125 runs and above, and two unbeaten of 56 and 44. Against South Africa is in Bengaluru recently, he made centuries in both matches of the second test and was named the player of the series. Despite featuring in just one of two contests, now even with Rishabh Pant's return to fitness, Julian, deputized, who deputized for the injured Pant against the West Indies in October, is set to play at a special test matter. Given the way Julian's gone in the last 6 months and scoring 200 in Bengaluru last week, he is certain to play 10 Doschet shed in Washington Sundar, Axar Patel and Jadoo. Ravindra Jadeja, you are actually got three batters. But I would be very surprised if you don't see Jurel playing. It is not an altogether new role for Jurel. He has been trusted as a pure veteran by Rajasthan Royals in the IPL, where Sanju Samson and Josh Butler were ahead in the wicket keeping packing order. Even for India, he has done this once before in last year's victorious earth-tested Australia, where and kept close, but Durrell also brings in the certain game awareness. Though the sample size is low, he has given out adequate hits that he is a master of shepherding the tail in Rajkot in his debut test, where he made 46 at number 8 in Ranchi in the second, where he made 90 at number 7 and in Bengaluru last week. The 24-year-old's potential selection would mean that the development of all-rounder Nitish Kumar, who scored a big bang hundreds against Australia in Melbourne last year at number 8, will take a break, but 10 Josh Chat strategy came first. Our position certainly hasn't changed on Nitish. Then Josh Chat clarified about the player who has been released to play the upcoming one-day series for India against South Africa. The primary thing is to set out a strategy to win the game, and if you can accommodate giving guys chances for development that comes in. India is a tough challenge anywhere in the world, from Kolkata, South Africa. Maybe the resigning world test champion, but the magnitude of the challenge that awaits the side in the upcoming test series in India was not lost in head coach Shukri Chauhan. On Wednesday here at the Eden Garden, he called it the biggest challenge. India is a tough challenge anywhere in the world, and when you come to an iconic venue like Eden Garden, it just makes it tougher. Conrad said ahead of Friday's opening test, I don't think there has been a bigger challenge. Yes, we had WTC final against Australia that we won, which was massive. I compare this series and this match to that final. That's how big it is for us. But South Africa appears to have a capable bowling attack for this testing season. A fast bowling pack led by Kagiso Rababa and Marco Jensen and a spin bowling combination held by Keshu Maharaj are not to be trifled with. We have put plans into place on how to play spin and toss check. Geared up. Good going. Gill is doing very well as an all-format player, assistant coach. Narohit Aga and Rob Shine in Pakistan victory over Sri Lanka first ODI. In and out pacer Hazelwood gets all clear ahead of Ashes about ruled out. आओ हम सब मिलकर हिमाचल को चिट्टा मुक्त बनाएं और एक नए हिमाचल का निर्माण करें. Message from present CM of Himachal Pradesh, Honorable Sukhwinder Singh Sukhu, श्री सुखविंदर सिंह सुक्खू माननीय मुख्यमंत्री हिमाचल प्रदेश 15 नवंबर 2025 को प्रातः 10 बजे शिमला के रिज से चित्रामुक्त जागरूकता वॉकथॉन को हरी झंडी दिखाकर रवाना करेंगे. Congress 7 other parties join hands for anti-BJP front in Assam from Guwahati. Protector clash with security, and Brazil's caught 30 from Alam. Dozens of indigenous protesters forced their way into the COP30 climate summit venue on Tuesday and clashed with security guards at the entrance to demand climate action and forest protection. Shouting angrily, protesters demanded access to the UN compound where thousands of delegates from countries around the world are attending this year's UN Climate Summit in Amazon city of Belém, Brazil. Some waved flags with slogans calling for land rights or carried signs saying our land is not for sale. Security guards pushed the protesters back and used tables to barricade the entrance. The protesters dispersed shortly after the clash. Iraq's Sudani secures major victory in general election, says sources close to Prime Minister from Baghdad. Incumbent Iraqi Prime Minister Mohammad Shia al-Sudwani, who is vying for a second term, had scored a big win in general election. Sources close to the premier said on Wednesday. Iraqis on Tuesday headed to the polls for a general election that came as the country experiences a rare moment of calm in a region roiled by recent conflicts. The next premier must answer to Iraqis seeking jobs, better infrastructure, and improved education and health systems in a country plagued by corruption and mismanagement. But he also faces the expecting task of maintaining the delicate balance between Iraq's allies, Iran and the US, even more so now that the West Asia is undergoing seismic changes with new alliances forming and old powers weakening. Iraq's electoral commission is expected to announce preliminary results later in the evening, but an official close to the premier said that his reconstruction and development list has secured a major victory. Another two sources said Mr. Sudani's alliance has won the largest blow. With approximately 50 seats, Mr. Sudani has emerged as a major force in Iraqi politics after he was brought to power 3 years ago by an alliance of pro-Iran groups. Once final results are confirmed, lawmakers are set to begin negotiations to nominate the prime minister. Participatory democracy key condition for my return. Yunus Harmi, India Times, news from Kolkata. Ousted former Bangladesh Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina has said her return home hinges on the restoration of the participatory democracy, lifting of the ban on the Awami League, and the conduct of free, fair, and inclusive elections. Mass Israeli settlers attacked two Palestinian villages in West Bank. Israeli forces intervened, leading to clashes between soldiers and settlers. Four Israelis were arrested and four Palestinians injured. UN reports a record number of over 260 settler attacks on Palestinians in October this year, the highest since 2006 from Jerusalem. Dozens of masked Israeli settlers attacked a pair of Palestinian villages in the occupied West Bank on Tuesday, setting fire to vehicles and other property before clashing with Israeli soldiers sent to halt the rampage, Israeli and Palestinian officials said. It was the latest series of a, in a series of attacks by young settlers in the West Bank. Israeli police said four Israelis were arrested in what it described as extremist violence, while the Israeli military said four Palestinians were wounded police and Israel Shin Bet internal security agencies said they were investigating. Videos and social media showed two shared trucks engulfed in flames with a nearby building on fire. Settler violence has surged since the war in Gaza erupted 2 years ago. The attacks have intensified in recent weeks as Palestinians harvest their olive trees in an annual ritual. The UN Humanitarian Office last week reported more Israeli settler attacks on Palestinians in the West Bank in October than in any other month since it began. Keeping track in 2006, there were over 260 attacks, the office said. Palestinian and human rights workers accused the Israeli army and police of failing to halt attacks by settlers. Israel's government is dominated by West Bank settlers and the police forces overseen by Cabinet Minister Itamar Ben-Gvir, a hardline settler leader. In Tuesday's incident, the army said soldiers initially responded to settler attacks in the villages of Beed, Mid, and Deir Sharaf. Instead, the settlers fled to a nearby industrial zone and attacked soldiers sent to the scene and damaged a military vehicle. Palestinian official who heads the government's commission against the war and settlement said the settlers set fire to four dairy trucks, farmland, tin shacks, and tents belonging to community. He said the attacks were part of a campaign to drive Palestinians from their land. Starmer says being united after political reports from London, UK Prime Minister Keir Starmer told the House of Commons that his team was united after reports emerged on Tuesday night that a political plot to overthrow him was underway. The Guardian was the first to report on briefings from senior Downing Street sources that UK Health Secretary West Keating was heading a leadership challenge. Mr. Starmer's allies were quoted as saying that the Prime Minister would fend off any challenge, whether it occurred after the November 26 result or following a defeat in the May 2026 local election. Referring to the allegations against Mr. Keating, Mr. Starmer said he had never authorized attacks on cabinet members and that any attack on them was completely unacceptable. He went on to praise Mr. Keating's record of opening up National Health Service appointments since he assumed office last year. Conservative Party leader Kemi Badenoch said the government had descended into civil war during PMQs. The current government has been under pressure after signaling that it would break a manifesto promise and raise certain taxes in the upcoming budget. It also faces a serious challenge from the nationalist Reform UK party in next year's local election. Mr. Sting did the rounds of TV stations on Wednesday defending the Prime Minister and denying the allegations about him. This sort of stuff is also not just irresponsible and unwarranted and categorically untrue, he told ITV. What really made me angry this morning is some of the stuff that's come from Downing Street, saying the Prime Minister is fighting to save his own job. He is not. He is fighting to turn the country around, he added. Russia ready to resume talks with Ukraine, foreign ministry official says from Moscow. 42 feared that in latest migrant shipwreck of Libya, says UN from Geneva. Island crews killed one civilian in fresh water crashes, Cambodia says from Phnom Penh. Turkey says all 20 troops on board were killed in Georgia plane crash from Ankara. High levels of chromium mercury in residents. NGT directs duty government to map affected people from New Delhi. The National Green Tribunal has directed the Uttar Pradesh government to map the total number of people affected by heavy metal contamination, particularly chromium and mercury in Kanpur Nagar, Kanpur Fatehpur, and nearby areas of the state. The principal bench of the NGT, comprising Chairperson Prakash Srivastava and expert member Afroz Ahmad, gave the order in a matter related to factories dumping chromicum in Rania, Kanpur. The above chart reflects that a high percentage of persons presence of chromium above standard level has been detected, and even persons with mercury above standard level have been found, stated the order dated number 7. Shiv Sena Symbol Law Supreme Court fixes January 21 for final hearing on UBT petition against EC order from New Delhi. The Supreme Court on Wednesday fixed January 21 for hearing pleas filed by the Uddhav Thackeray led faction UBT of the Shiv Sena against the Election Commission order allotting the bow and arrow symbol to Maharashtra Deputy Chief Mr. Eknath Shinde led faction. The bench of Justices Suryakant and Joymala Bagchi said that it will start hearing arguments from January 21 on the Shiv Sena symbol dispute. The bench will then hear arguments on a similar dispute concerning the Nationalist Congress Party (NCP) on January 22, as there are several overlapping issues involved in both matters. It said the court also fixed 3 hours for hearing arguments from each faction of the political parties. Senior advocate if the common hearing for Uddhav faction said that matters require urgent hearing as there are local body polls in the state. Justice Khan said political parties are always in election mode in India as they are contesting national election, state polls are even local body polls. Senior advocates Mukul Rohtgi and Neeraj Kisan Kaul appeared for the Shinde faction. Pending for long on January 14, the top court fixed the matter for final hearing, saying the issue had been pending for a long time and the uncertainty cannot be allowed to continue. The Udo faction has challenged the February 17 order of the Election Commission, which has allotted the name Shiv Sena and its poll symbol bow and arrow to the group led by Mr. Shinde. BJP meeting discusses government formation in Manipur from Imphal. Senior BJP leader BL Santosh on Wednesday held a meeting with party legislators of Manipur in which deliberation happened on forming a government in the state. Mr. Santosh, the BJP's General Secretary organization, held the meeting at the party office in Imphal. The BJP's Northeast coordinator Shamit Patra was also present in the meeting, which saw the participation of over 20 MLAs. Following the meeting, ex-CM and Byron Singh said matters related to internally displaced persons and the formation of a popular government were discussed. EVK chief Vijay accuses ruling DMK PM Stalin of resorting to slander against his outfit. From Chennai, in recent times, the party on the verge of being rejected by people has resorted to slander. Their only goal these days is to criticize TVK. TVK President Vijay on Wednesday came down heavily on the DMK and its President and Tamil Nadu Chief Minister M.K. Stalin without explicitly naming them and accused the ruling party of resorting to slander against the TVK. In a post on X, Mr. Vijay said, in recent times, a political party that is on the verge of being rejected by the people have resorted to the politics of spreading slander. Do you know which party I am referring to? Is it necessary to say its name when it is the only political party that has made defaming others its core political principle? Their only goal these days is to criticize the TVK. Mr. Vijay said the ruling party was making baseless allegation against the TVK, though his party had not yet made a full-fledged critique of the DMK's politics. According to him, his party's criticism of the DMK had been mild and expressed with civility. Deceiving people to deceive the people by projecting themselves as ideologically committed. The leader of the party has declared Tamil language, Tamil Nadu, and Tamil identity as their core principles when they are out of power. They talk about the Tamil language and Tamils, but after assuming office, they comfortably settle into positions of power and gain constitutional constraints while enjoying its privileges when they avoided conducting a caste-based survey with the baseless excuse that the state had no authority to do so. Where did their commitment to social justice go? Mr. Vijay said retired Lieutenant Generals are hit by VIP escort in Punjab. BJP promises action from Chandigarh. Part given by retired Lieutenant General D.S. Bhutta, who led the 2016 surgical strikes, was allegedly hit by a Punjab police escort vehicle in Jirakpur on Wednesday. Narrating the incident on X, the former Madhan Army commander said the incident took place around 4 p.m. while he was driving with his wife on the Jirakpur flyover in Sahibzada Ajit Singh Nagar district. Two Punjab police jeeps escorting a VIP towards Ambala came from behind with siren blaring, eyes lowered to let the first vehicle pass. The VIP vehicle perhaps took 3 extra seconds because of heavy traffic. Angered, the Ray escort jeep overtaking from the left deliberately cut sharply right, hit the front of my car and sped off, he wrote, describing the incident as clearly a deliberate act. A former officer urged Punjab's Chief Minister Bhagwant Mann and Director General of Police DGP Gaurav Yadav to take note. Yadav responded, we deeply regret the distress caused to you and your wife. Such behavior, if established, is unacceptable, he said. Directions have been issued to identify those involved and assured appropriate action would follow. Gujarat's court hands lifetime to three in cow killing case. State government hails verdict as restoring. This is the first instance in Gujarat where 3 persons have been handed lifetime in a cow slaughter case from Amreli. A session court in Gujarat, Amreli city, had sentenced three persons to life imprisonment in a cow slaughter case and imposed a hefty fine of 18 lakh rupees on them. Prosecution said on Wednesday, this is the first instance in Gujarat where three persons have been handed life term in a cow slaughter case instead. Sessions Court Judge Rijwana Bukharia on Tuesday pronounced the accused house raided, acting on the tip of the police raided the house in the city and recovered 40 kilogram beef and body parts of the cows that were slaughtered along with equipment used for the purpose from the sport while Qasim Solanki was caught immediately. The other two accused managed to flee and were arrested later. The Gujarat government hailed the verdict with its spokesperson Jitu Vaghani saying the government under the leadership of Chief Minister Bhupendra Patel was committed to cow protection and welfare. Center of Culture Faith. Cow is at the center of Indian culture and faith. The state government will not show any mercy for crimes like cow slaughter. Mr. Vegani told media persons the BJP government in Gujarat passed a strict law against law slaughter in 2011 under the leadership of the Chief Minister and current Prime Minister Narendra Modi. The law was later amended in 2017 and the provision of life imprisonment was added. Plea seeks ban on biopic for incorrect portrayal of Kamraj. Supreme Court resolves verdict on uniform definition of Riley Hills. The Supreme Court on Wednesday resolved its verdict on the crucial issue of defining the Aravalli Hills and aim for ensuring environment, ensuring environmental conservation, land use regulation, and mining activities in Delhi, Haryana, Rajasthan, and Gujarat. The bench comprising Chief Justice B.R. Gavai and Justice K. Vinod Chandran and N.V. Anjaria reserved the verdict after hearing several lawyers, including Additional Solicitor General Aishwarya Bhatti and amicus curiae K. Parmeshwar. Over the years, the range has faced extensive degradation due to illegal mining, urban encroachment, and deforestation. Working unitedly, what's wrong? Shiva Kumar on talk of CM change in Karnataka ahead of his Delhi visit. Siddharmaya loyalists bargaining hard for his continuation in the post amid speculation over possible leadership change after reaching mid-term of Congress government in the state from Bengaluru, asserting that he and Karnataka Chief Minister Siddharmaya are working together unitedly. Deputy Chief Minister D.K. Shivakumar on Wednesday questioned what wrong if the incumbent continues in the post. Mr. Shivakumar, who is also the state Congress president, was responding to Mr. P. Jamil Ahmed Khan's recent statement that the Deputy Chief Minister can become the Chief Minister after Mr. Siddharmaya completes his 5-year term in 2028. There has been speculation about a possible leadership change after reaching the Mediterranean, after reaching the mid-term of the Congress government in Karnataka on November 20, which is being referred to by some as the November Revolution. Very happy. What's wrong? The Chief Minister is there. Let him be. We are not scared. We are working together. We are all united and we continue to be united. Mr. Shiva Kumar told reporters in response to a question on Mr. Khan's statement. Meanwhile, some loyalist of Mr. Siddharmaya appears to be bargaining hard for his continuation in the post for the full 5 years and have begun claiming that the Congress legislature party will take a decision on the matter and it will be later endorsed by the party high command. Sources close to the chief minister argue that Mr. Siddaramaiah was elected by the CLP in May 2023 and not selected by the party high command. In case there was demand for a leadership change, once again the CLP would take a decision and the party's top brass would endorse it, they said. Going to Delhi, Mr. Siddaramaiah is expected to visit the national capital on November 15, a day after the Bihar election result, for discussion on his proposal for cabinet reshuffle. The chief minister has been saying that he would revamp the cabinet after the party high command clears the proposal. Responding to a question on Mr. Siddaramaiah's proposed visit to New Delhi, his deputy said he too will be visiting the national capital to participate in a program of Rajya Sabha member and senior advocate Kapil Sibal. 30 lakh dead voters likely to be removed from West Bengal voter rolls. Action will be based on Aadhaar card deactivation information given by UIDA officials from Kolkata. The names of over 30 lakh deceased residents of West Bengal are likely to be removed from electoral rolls during the ongoing special intensive revision based on Aadhaar information provided by officials of the Unique Identification Authority of India, which issues the 12-digit unique identification number in the country. Sources in the state chief electoral sources office said on Wednesday. Venu Sri Nivasan halted new induction in Sir Ratan Tata Trust from Chennai. The Tata Trust meeting on November 11 was not without drama. Venu Srinivasan, a trustee in the Sir Ratan Tata Trust and its vice chairman, is learned to have objected to the winner, in which a resolution proposing to appoint Niveli Tata and Bhaskar Bhatt as trustees was brought up. MSMEs seek measures to address funding gap from point two. MSMEs need measures to address the funding gap the sector faces. President of the Coimbatore District Small Industries Association, M. Karthikeyan, said at a pre-budget meeting with MSME Association organized by Union Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman in New Delhi on Wednesday. The MSMEs need 30 lakh crore rupees according to a Reserve Bank of India report. The number of new loan accounts has reduced and the fund requirement of the MSMEs in the manufacturing sector is higher, he said. The association also sought a subsidy for MSMEs that wanted to go in for rooftop solar systems. The MSME faced labor shortage and hence those opting for automation should be encouraged. Investment in capital should include these factors and the enterprises should be extended a 12-year loan at low interest rates, he said. MP Mathurathinam, president of the Tripura Exporters and Manufacturers Association, sought loans for MSMEs at low interest rates and a special package to revive MSMEs that were ailing. Ashok Leland showed to net rises 7% to 756 crore rupees from News from Mumbai. Puri, Canadian minister discuss hydrocarbon trade from New Delhi. Petroleum Minister Hardeep Singh Puri met Canada's Minister for International Trade Maninder Sidhu on Wednesday to discuss bilateral hydrocarbon trade between the two nations. Mr. Puri wrote on social media that the bilateral hydrocarbons trade that scaled 226.45 billion, $226.45 billion in the fiscal year 2025, 2025, 2024, 2025. Also had a substantial upside potential. The meeting was part of Mr. Shiddu's official visit to India, where in the North American country is seeking to find opportunities to advance trade and investment linkage between the two nations. Ottawa is seeking to diversify avenues for hydrocarbon exports and is at the receiving end of the Trump tariff regime. SEBI panel proposes wider conflict of interest regulations. Level committee recommends Office of Ethics and Compliance headed by an executive director level officer to oversee framework for Mumbai. A high-level committee under markets regulator SEBI has proposed expanding the definition of family, strengthening disclosures and placing investment restrictions on board members under its new framework on overhauling conflict of interest regulation, according to a report released on Wednesday. The Securities and Exchange Board of India had formed the high-level committee headed by former CVC Chief Pratyush Sinha following the allegations of violating conflict of interest regulations by former SEBI Chief Madhvi Puri, which he was later exonerated. The committee recommended the formation of an Office of Ethics and Compliance headed by an executive director level officer to oversee the framework. Significant proposals include the expansion of the definition of family to any person for whom the member or employee serves as a legal guardian and any other person related to by blood or marriage to the employee or to his spouse and substantially dependent on such employee. These rules will apply to employee and board members. In the 2008 guidelines, the definition of family was limited to spouse and children. Further, the word relative will now be defined akin to the Companies Act 2013 and will be applied to both members and employees. The list of relatives in Companies Rules 37 includes parents, spouse, children, and their spouses and siblings. This definition is addition to the existing definitions in SEBI rules. Investment restrictions will, however, be applied only to family members as defined in the new framework, the report stated. The committee also recommended multiple levels of conflict of interest management. The committee recommends initial annual event-based and exit on the date of limiting office in SEBI, disclosures of assets, liabilities, trading activities, and family and other relationships for board members and employees to SEBI's proposed Office of Ethics and Compliance and the Oversight Committee on Ethics and Compliance, the report stated. The committee proposed the chairperson, full-time members, executive directors, and chief general managers disclose assets and liabilities. All other employees must make internal disclosures. Part-time members shall not be subjected to the disclosure norms as they are not involved in the day-to-day activities of SEBI. The committee said on lateral entry, the chairperson and WTM must make disclosure of actual, potential, and perceived conflicts. The committee was defining each of them. The chairperson and WTMs will be allowed to invest in mutual funds and similar products as long as they do not exceed one fourth of their portfolio. The committee also recommended that SEBI put into a robust framework to decide on recusal in case of conflict of interest. The chief compliance officer will be the nodal officer to oversee the recusal process. It was also proposed that the summary of the recusals be mentioned in the annual report. Tata Motors shares get listed at Tata Motors shares get listed at 26% premium post the merger from Mumbai. Shares of the commercial vehicles division of the East While combined Tata Motors were listed on the stock exchanges on Wednesday at a premium of over 26% to its implied value of about 261.90 rupees per share on the BSE. The listing follows the demerger of the division from the passenger car business effective October 1. The company that now houses the commercial vehicles business is called Tata Motors Limited, while the passenger car business, which also includes electric vehicles and Jaguar Land Rover, is now a separate company called Tata Motors Passenger Vehicles Limited. Tata Motors shares opened at 330.25 rupees on the BSE on Wednesday and closed at 327.65, down 0.79% from the listing price due to profit booking. The shares are trading under the symbol TMCVL during the day. The shares hit the day's high of clear roadmaps. Speaking at the listing ceremony, Tata Sons and Tata Motors Limited Chairman and Chandrasekaran said the separation was necessary to create two financially strong and independent companies with clear roadmaps. He said Tata Motors was working on electrification, hydrogen trucks, new energy buses, and other technologies. Commenting on the listing of Tata Motors, Rahul Prajapati, research analyst, Sanko Securities, said government OK's export promotion mission with 25,060 crore rupees outlay. SpiceJet net loss widens to 635 crore rupees in September quarter. Tata Steel Q2 PAT surges threefold to 3,183 crore rupees. Uttar Pradesh sweetens the bill for farmers. Yogi government announces this story. 30 rupees per quintal sugarcane price highest in recent year. No state or nation can progress by disrespecting its farmers, the true providers of food. Yogi Adityanath, Mr. UP. Farmers first key achievements under Yogi government. Farmers are the heart of policy. Crushing season kicks off, mills in full gear. End of middleman, start of digital governance. UP powers India's ethanol revolution. Farmers at the heart of policy. From the fields of Uttar Pradesh to the future of India, the journey of sugarcane continues to deliver, empower, and transform. Unwavering devotion. unwavering devotion, true blessedness lies in unwavering devotion to God. Rather than wealth, noble works, or fame, scriptures affirm that the most fortunate are those who constantly chant the divine name, a tongue, a gift from God, achieves its highest purpose when used for sacred remembrance, leading to liberation and drawing us closer to the divine. Shri Atal encourages continuous recitation of God's name. Prahlad, a child devotee, teaches the rarity of a human birth and the importance of dedicating it to God. Durlabham Manusham Janama, the Upanishads urge our ears to soak in godly words. Karna Bhyam, Guri, Vishrubham, and our tongue to speak only honeyed speech. Jiva में मधु में समान Shri Keshwa Vijayapaya Swami in his discourse explains that no individual in this world possesses every excellent quality in equal measure. Some may be mentally strong and others blessed with intelligence, yet may lack physical strength, while others may have robust bodies but not keen minds. Most people approach God in prayer, seeking blessings such as health, wealth, peace, or happiness. Hanuman, the supreme devotee of Lord Rama, is adorned with eight great qualities: skill, valor, fame, courage, fearlessness, freedom from disease, tirelessness, and eloquence in speech. Buddhi, Balam, Yasho, Dhyanam. He stands as the embodiment of strength and devotion. Those who worship Lord Hanuman with faith and sincerity are blessed with His divine grace. His blessings fulfill righteous desires and bring physical vigor, mental steadiness, and spiritual upliftment. Tuberculosis incidence falling in India by 21% a year, WHO report. From New Delhi, India's tuberculosis incidence with the new cases emerging every year fell by 21% from 237 TB cases per lakh population in 2015 to 187 per lakh population in 2024, almost double the pace of decline observed globally at 12% according to the World Health Organization Global TB Report 2025. The Union Health Minister shared in a release issued on Wednesday. This was one of the highest declines in TB incidents globally, outpacing reductions noted among other high burden countries. India's innovative case finding approach, driven by the swift uptake of newer technologies, decentralization of services, and large-scale community mobilization has led to the country's treatment coverage to surge to over 22% in 2024. GYGI tag fee cut to 1,000 rupees. Ministry promises backing for tribal goods from New Delhi. Commerce and Industry Ministry. Commerce and Industry Minister Piyush Goyal announced here on Wednesday that the application fee for the geographical indication GI tag had been reduced to 1,000 rupees from 5,000 rupees, At the inaugural tribal business conclave, he asked tribal artisans to register and protect traditional products and crafts. He further promised the support of his ministry in creating export and e-commerce linkages for tribal enterprises and international warehouses for their products. The conclave held by ministries of tribal affairs and culture and the Department of Promotion of Industry and Internal Trade at the Yashobhumi Convention Center featured panel discussion and master classes on topics such as financing innovation for and investments in tribal enterprises, partnerships, industrial linkage, and skilling. Mr. Goyal said schools, universities, industries, and the government must work together to ensure that products made by tribal artisans reach the larger domestic and global markets. The minister promised the full support of his ministry and the DPIIT in this mission by creating export and e-commerce linkages and facilitating international warehouses for tribal goods. The conclave was part of the Government of India's Janjatiya Gaur Varsh celebrations to mark the 115th birth anniversary year of tribal icon Birsa Munda. Tribal Affairs Minister Jual Kuran thanked Prime Minister Narendra Modi for coming up with the initiative. GI tags distributed. The event also saw GI tag certificates being distributed for craft and products such as Kanadipaya bamboo mat of Kerala. Navy Chief embarks on US visits to boost maritime ties. India Botswana India Botswana announced cheaper translocation pact. India ninth worst affected by extreme weather study says from Mumbai. A new report, Climate Risk Index 2026, published by German Watch, released at COP30 in Ballam on Tuesday evening, finds that more than 832,000 people died, nearly 5.7 billion were affected, and economic losses exceeded $4.5 trillion. Inflation adjusted from over 9,700 extreme weather events between 1995 and 2024. German Watch is a based environmental and development organization that advocates for global equity and sustainability in climate policy. India ranks ninth among the countries most affected during this period, facing recurring floods, cyclone droughts, and increasingly severe heat waves. Countries such as Haiti, the Philippines, and India, all of which are among the 10 most affected, face particular challenges. They are hit by floods, heat waves, or storms so regularly that entire regions can hardly recover from the impacts until the next event strikes, said Vera Pilgel, Senior Advisor on Climate Change Adaptation and Human Rights at German Watch. Supreme Court to examine if farmers are evading satellite surveillance. Chief Justice of India asked if farmers get together and decide when to burn stubble. Court issues notice to Punjab and Haryana governments to submit latest reports on stubble burning incidents from New Delhi. The Supreme Court on Wednesday decided to examine if farmers were burning crop stubble when satellites were not overhead to avoid surveillance. Stubble burning is considered a major source of air pollution, choking the national capital. The bench headed by Chief Justice of India B.R. Gave appeared incredulous when the amicus Jury senior advocate Aparajita Singh told the judges that agriculturists waited for the surveillance satellite to pass overhead before putting the lighted mesh to the stoves. They are delaying the burning in the tune with the movement of the satellite MS Singh submitted. Are you saying all the farmers get together and decide when to burn? Chief Justice Gavai reacted. Mr. MS Singh submitted photographs and data collected from material posted online by NASA scientists who claimed to have analyzed European and Korean satellites to conclude that stubble burning had neither gone down or stopped. The amicus curiae answering the Chief Justice's question said satellites passed overhead at the specific time. She referred to media reports of farmers on camera saying the state administration had shared the timing of the satellites with the farmers. MS Singh raised doubts under these circumstances about the veracity of data and information fed to the court. The scientist has uploaded photographs showing the base above Punjab. If this is true, it is alarming. The account of the number of incidents of stubble burning is not true. The amicus curiae submitted the court issued notice to the states of Punjab and Haryana to submit their latest reports on stubble burning incidents. In September, the court had suggested a return to criminal prosecution of errant agriculturists and even a separate law. The center had, however, maintained that it was a policy to take farmers along rather than put them behind bars. At the time, the debate between the court and the government had broken out after MS Singh had pointed out that farmers continued to buy despite humongous efforts and funds spent by the center to wean them away from an annual practice, which dispels a cloud of toxicity across states in northern India. MS Singh had said the situation on the ground returns to square one at the beginning of every winter season, regardless of the extensive orders from the Supreme Court to curb stubble burning. Amicus Curie and several lawyers, including senior advocate Gopal Shankar Narayan, asked the court to direct the Commission for Air Quality Management to upgrade the anti-pollution restrictions in Delhi NCR from the current GRAP third stage, third GRAP 3 stage to stricter GRAP 4 measures which involve a complete stop in construction and demolition activities. Your Lordships have asked the CAQM to take steps in anticipation. The AQI has already breached 400. The CAQM must not wait for it to turn severe. Plus, it should anticipate and take action now. MS Singh said the court scheduled the hearing on this issue on November 17. Jaishankar meets Rubio at Canada G7 meeting from New Delhi. External Affairs Minister S. Jaishankar met US Secretary of State Marco Rubio on Wednesday on the sidelines of the G7 foreign ministers meeting in Canada where Monday's terror strike near the Red Fort featured. We discussed our bilateral ties, focusing on trade and supply chain, exchanged views on the Ukraine conflict, the Middle East or West Asia situation, and Indo-Pacific, said Mr. Jaishankar on X up to the talks, adding, appreciate his condolences on the loss of lives in the blast in Delhi. Mr. Jaishankar also met Canadian Foreign Minister Anita Anand earlier in the day. The terror attack drew messages of condemnation and condolences from across the world, including from Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, incoming US Ambassador to India Sergio Gore, and the Foreign Ministry of the United Arab Emirates. To our dear friend, the great Narendra Modi, and to the people of India, Sarah and I, and the people of Israel. Send our deepest condolence to the families of the victims, Mr. Netanyahu posted on social media. 3 out of 4 Indians believe climate change is affecting them. Renewed rivalry, India will be keen to move ahead in the new cricket test cycle. Fine tune the AI labeling regulation framework. Qualified success. Mail out migration and cash transfers make women's turnout higher in Bihar. Interstate rivalry that is fueling India's growth. States are no longer queuing for Delhi's patronage, but are campaigning with investors and pitching their case with confidence and data. Last month, when Google unveiled its plans for its largest artificial intelligence data center outside of California, US in Andhra Pradesh Chief Minister M. Chandrababu Naidu gleefully claimed bragging rights of global tech, right, and choosing the state for a marquee investment over regional rivals such as Tamil Nadu and Karnataka. The jubilation in Visakhapatnam, Andhra Pradesh could be heard across state borders in Tamil Nadu. A former All India Anna Dravidi Mitra Vazham minister chided the Dravida Mineta Kazagam and Stalin government for failing to woo Google, although it is headed by Lulu Tamil. Across another border, a Karnataka minister suggested with barely concealed envy that Andhra Pradesh had cleared Google with extravagant subsidies. Panel formed to review bills seeking removal of minister facing serious criminal charges. From New Delhi, a 31-member parliament joint committee headed by Bharatiya Janata Party MP Aparajita Sarangi was constituted on Wednesday to review the 3 bills that seek to remove ministers of union and state governments, including Prime Minister and Chief Minister, facing serious criminal charges. The India bloc decided to boycott the committee. The opposition has argued that the intent of the proposed legislation is nullified and it is futile to participate in a panel where the BJP will be in a majority. The opposition has also cited the example of the Joint Parliamentary Committee on the Move for Peace in 1987, which was boycotted by 6 major opposition parties. Members in the panel, breaking ranks with the India Law Nationalist Congress Party, shared from Ashok Pawar leader Supriya Sule has joined the Parliamentary Committee. All India Majlis-e-Ittehadul Muslimin Asaduddin Owaisi YSR CPs S. Niranjan Reddy and Akali Dal Harshibrat Kaur Badal are the opposition members. Court orders bail for Delhi-based advocate held in model case from New Delhi court declared that grounds of arrest must be supplied in writing within a reasonable time. The Supreme Court on Wednesday ordered a Delhi-based advocate Vikram Singh, who was arrested by the Special Task Force of Gurugram Police in a murder case, to be released on bail immediately. The petitioner is an advocate by profession and as such he is not likely to flee away from the hands of justice. The bench headed by Chief Justice of India B.R. Gave observed in an order coercive WhatsApp communications which Human and threatened the petitioner Vikram Singh into disclosing confidential information pertaining to his clients. On October 31, the petitioner was illegally arrested without being furnished written grounds of arrest and in the absence of independent witnesses in blatant violation of Article 21 and 22 of the Constitution. The petition had the judgment by a bench headed by Chief Justice himself that clear that grounds of arrest must be supplied in writing within a reasonable time, and in any case 2 hours prior to the production of the arrestee before the magistrate for remand proceedings. Bombay High Court criticizes government over malnutrition deaths in Maharashtra's tribal regions from Mumbai. The Mumbai High Court on Wednesday pulled up the Maharashtra and Union government for an extremely casual approach over handling the malnutrition issue among infants in the state's tribal regions. The bench, comprising Justice Revati, Mohit Dair, and Sandesh Patil, was hearing a series of petitions filed over the infant deaths due to malnutrition in Amravati district's Melghat region, a tribal dominant area where chronic malnutrition has existed for 4 years. The court called the situation horrific, saying the government should be concerned. During the hearing, the petitioner drew attention to the fact that from June 2025 to date, 65 infants in the age group of 0 to 6 months had died due to malnutrition in Melghat. The court noted that despite several orders since 2001, the problem persists like a plague to a lack of implementation of those directives. However, the state government claimed these deaths happened due to pneumonia and not malnutrition. To this, the court asked whether the 2001 court order to construct a multi-specialty hospital in the area was actually implemented. No answer was received. Extremely casual, calling out the state government, the court said. This shows your seriousness on the issue. The approach is extremely casual and many things need answers from you. On the documents presented by the state reflecting the efforts taken, the court stated everything looks good on paper but far from reality. The court ordered principal secretaries of Punjab, the court ordered principal secretaries of public health, tribal affairs, women and child development and finance departments to submit affidavits on the measures taken in detail and appear in court on November 24. Trinmul Tirnamul slams BJP MP over remarks on Bengal CM says from Kolkata. Tejasvi Yadav slams pressure-driven exit polls says use voter turnout signals change from Patna. High Court flags delay in filing appeals on disclosure of Modi's degree. From New Delhi, the Delhi High Court on Wednesday flagged the delay by a batch of petitioners in filing appeals challenging an order on the disclosure of the details of Prime Minister Modi's bachelor's degree from Delhi University. Bench of Chief Justice Devendra Kumar Upadhyay and Justice Tushar Rao Kadina directed the Delhi University to submit its reply within 3 weeks to the applications explaining the delay in moving the appeals. The court listed the matter for the further hearing on January 16, 2026. The bench was hearing the appeals filed by Right to Information activist near Aam Aadmi Party leader Ranjit Singh and advocate Mohammad Irshad against a single judge August 25 order which had set aside a Central Information Commission decision directing the disclosure of Mr. Modi's degree. During the hearing, counsel for the petitioners contended that there were fundamental errors in the order passed by the single judge, noting that there was a delay in filing the appeals. The court asked Solicitor General Tushar Mehta, representing Delhi University, to submit objections to the application seeking condonation of the delay. We need to condone the delay first failure Delhi University's objections. The court said on August 25 the single judge had set aside the order saying that only because Mr. Mehdi was holding a public office, he did not render all his personal information open to public disclosure. Enumeration forms distributed to 73% voters in phase 2 of SIR CHEC. Lakshmi has topped the list covering all but one voter. Tribunal accuses EC of issuing orders favoring BJP during SIR in Bengal from Kolkata. Earlier, the criteria was that the PLA has to be of the same booth where they are being appointed. Kissinger rules out US exit from UN. Pittsburgh, November 12. The US Secretary of State, Dr. Henry Kissinger, indicated today that action could be taken by the US against the countries which helped pass a UN resolution condemning Zionism. But he said at a new conference that no decision had been taken yet on such a step. The countries which voted for the resolution, Dr. Kissinger said, had contributed to an international environment that will be less helpful in settling the differences in West Asia. Therefore, we will have to consider what on an individual basis before deciding what specific action we will take towards the various countries he added. A decision to apply sanction would be a major decision in US foreign policy. We have to see the United Nations in some perspective, he said. Dr. Kissinger said we want through a period in which the UN was considered and described as the best hope of humanity. That was exaggerated, but we must not swing to the other extreme of not realizing some of the benefits that the UN, with all its failing, still has for the US. Therefore, we will assess the situation. We have not made any final decision. Media reports at his press conference at Pittsburgh, Dr. Kissinger ruled out suggestions made by angry legislators that the United Nations should pull out of the UN. Dr. Kissinger also ruled out the possibility of the US withdrawing its support to the program announced at the special session of the UN General Assembly as regards developing countries, whatever might be the immediate irritation, the US should conduct its policies in the hope that possibility of a cooperating world remain open. Chinese civil war, Shanghai November 12 it is reported that the chief of the executive Tagore working and an exercise futility, pitting cultural icons against one another any only deepens political fault lines. Politics on West Bengal often revolve around the state's cultural icons. Over the past few days, the two tallest names in the Bengal literary world, Rabindranath Tagore and Bankim Chandra Chatterjee, Bankim Chandra Chattopadhyay, have become subjects of an intense political debate with political parties appearing to be in a hurry to appropriate them. In the first week of November, the West Bengal government issued a notification mandating that Tagore's Bangalore, Nati, Bangla, Jol, Bengal's land and Bengal's water be sung during the morning assembly in all state-run schools in December 2023. The government had declared the song as the state anthem and directed that it be played at all state government events along with the national anthem. Around the same time that this notification was issued, the Bharatiya Janata Party government at the central organized an event to observe 150 years of Chattopadhyay's Vande Mataram. The BJP leadership in West Bengal immediately sensed an opportunity. It went to various locations associated with Chattopadhyay and highlighted neglect at a few of them. Its leaders accused the government of not paying enough respect to Vande Mataram and questioned the aim of making mandatory Tagore song at all state-run schools. The Trinamool responded by accusing the BJP of disrespecting Tagore. The party shared the BJP MP Vishweshwar Hegde Agiri had made derogatory remarks against Tagore. It held protest at Jora Sanko Thakurbari, the ancestral home of the Nobel laureate in Kolkata. The BJP MP had said that the national anthem penned by Tagore was written to welcome British officials and opined that Vande Mataram should have instead been made the national anthem. The debate appears to have reduced Tagore to being an icon of the Trinamool and Chattopadhyay as being a role model for the BJP. Chief Minister Mamata Banerjee admitted that there was an attempt to create a divide between the two poets. She also claimed that since scholars are divided at the time of composition of Vande Mataram, her government had set up a committee to observe the sesquicentennial celebrations of the song. Developments in the neighboring Assam added fuel to the debate. A local Congress leader was booked at the construction of Chief Minister Himanta Biswa Sharma for singing Tagore's song Amar Sonar Bangla. Oh My Golden Bengal, member of civil society including academicians, descended on the streets of Kolkata singing Amar Sonar Bangla, which is also the national anthem of Bangladesh in protest of the police action in Assam. The Jan Jan Man versus Vande Mataram debate was earlier raised by fringe elements, however, ahead of the 2026 assembly polls. It has been mainstreamed in West Bengal politics, while it was without saying that Tagore towers over other literary figures in West Bengal and that his ideals continue to form the essence of Bengali identity and culture. There is also ample space for other writers and poets in Bengal's literary and cultural menu. The BJP had successfully fueled the debate over the two points. However, the Trinamool should not fall into this trap, particularly when the West Bengal government honors all the prominent icons from the state, including Shyama Prasad Mukherjee, the founder of the Jan Sangh. It is unfortunate that the works of cultural icons are being pitted against one another, especially when their writings are rooted in patriotism and nationalism. Some scholars point out that when Chattopadhyay met a young Tagore in 1882, he put a garland around him, calling him an elegant poet of the new age. In 1896, Tagore sang Vande Mataram at the Kolkata session of the Indian National Congress, comparing the national anthem Jan Gan Man with the country's national song. Vande Mataram is not only an exercise in futility but also reflects a narrow understanding of India's history and politics in an ideal world. Poets and writers whose works formed the basis of the freedom movement would remain above the fray of politics. Granted, we don't live in such a world, but even if politicians cannot do so, they can be more prudent by honoring the contributions of all idioms and not pitting icons against one another in an already polarized environment. Such attempts of appropriation only deepen our political fault lines. The limits of international branch camps. Last month, British Prime Minister Keir Starmer arrived in India with a planned board of vice chancellors. The Indian and UK government announced that several UK universities plan to open branch campuses in India. Some of them have already received university grant commission approval, while others are in the early stages of the application process. The fact that Mr. Starmer led this delegation can certainly speed up the regulatory approvals and establish these new campuses as legitimate ventures. However, it is worth analyzing this initiative. The need for branch campuses, the recent changes in the India-UK educational partnership are tied to the broader India-UK Vision 2035 and the recently signed India-UK Comprehensive Economic and Trade Agreement. Also, British higher education is undergoing an unprecedented financial crisis created both by inadequate support from the Starmer government and by a decline in the number of international students going to the UK and paying high fees. It is likely that some British universities are looking to a move to India as a way of earning income from Indians without importing students. But will Indians want to study at a branch campus as a substitute for the real thing? Will the branches apply the same standards both for student performance and faculty quality in India as they do on their home campuses? Branch campuses do not always succeed, and when they fail, students are often left without alternatives. In recent years, several international branch campuses faced significant setbacks. Texas A&M University closed its Qatar campus after 2 decades of operation in Europe. The University of Kent's Brussels campus was shut down due to financial pressures. These developments reveal growing fragility in the operation of international branch campuses where global uncertainties and global markets realities challenge the sustainability of such ventures. This risk should be an eye-opener for India, where clear contingency framework are yet to be outlined. One of the major gaps in current AGC regulation is the lack of a clear safety net for students, especially if a branch campus were to suddenly shut down. Just what is a branch campus? Is it a full academic institution transplanted from one country to another with a campus, a variety of offerings, perhaps some works on research facilities for student services and the like, or is it a floor of an office complex offering a few specialized degree programs aimed to be attractive to target audiences and taught by local faculty or professors from the home university who fly in for a few weeks or perhaps teach only on Zoom globally. There seem to be many more of the latter. Experts point out that building a real branch is expensive and time consuming. Most real branch camps around the world have been financed by governments or in some cases by property developers. For example, the campus of New York University in Abu Dhabi was built using funds from the UAE. Foreign universities are seldom willing to invest in actual building overseas campuses, so it is worth asking whether the British universities will be making significant investments to build their branches in India or whether they simply intend to leverage local partnerships and facilities. There is also the question of teaching. Will these branches provide full-time faculty from their home campuses? Experience shows that this is seldom the case. As a result, these campuses have to rely primarily on local faculty. If that is the case, what then will distinguish these branch campuses from India's emerging elite and semi-elite universities? Also, will the branches have a research mission? The vast majority of branch campuses worldwide are only teaching outposts, as building research capacity is expensive. Indeed, research has been a point of contention between the Chinese government and a number of the branch campuses in China, including British branches of Nottingham in Ningbo and Liverpool in Suzuki. In India, the question is whether the branch campuses will be allowed to engage with the national research ecosystem by participating in the schemes of the Indian Council of Social Science Research or Department of Science and Technology or remain isolated teaching unit. Their contribution to India's research output and innovation matrix would be meaningful only if they are incentivized to undertake research collaboration and capacity building. Balancing ambition and utility. The utilities value of foreign branch campuses will depend less on their brand and more on their ability to offer something not readily available in India. If handled well, branch campuses can provide access for students as India expands higher education enrollment. They can provide useful examples of innovative government and management practices that may be relevant for India's often sclerotic higher education system. However, the absence of clear framework on accreditation and quality assurance leaves uncertainty about how such collaboration will align with national standards and protect students' interests. The question of fee structure adds another layer of complexity because India's many semi-elite and elite private universities already offer globally benchmarked programs with international partnerships. As India approaches an era of branch campuses, there are significant possibilities but caveat emptor. Modi meets Redford blast survivors, says perpetrators will be brought to justice from New Delhi. Prime Minister Modi on Wednesday visited the Losnaik Jayaprakash Hospital here and met the survivors of the blast that took place in the Redford on Monday, knowing that those behind the act would be brought to justice. The Prime Minister went to the hospital after landing in New Delhi following a two-day visit to Bhutan. According to official sources, went to LMJP hospital and met those injured during the blast in Delhi, praying for everyone's quick recovery. Those behind the conspiracy will be brought to justice, Mr. Modi posted on social media platform X. Mr. Modi interacted with the injured and inquired about their health. He was also briefed by senior officials and doctors about the condition of the victims and the treatment being provided. At least 12 people were killed in the blast that took place inside a car on Monday evening. During his visit to Bhutan a day after the blast, Mr. Modi, in a speech at an event there, had expressed deep sorrow over the incident. Today I come here with a very heavy heart. The horrific incident that took place in Delhi yesterday evening has deeply saddened everyone. The entire nation stands with affected families today. Our agencies will get to the bottom of his conspiracy. The conspirators behind this will not be spared. All those responsible will be brought to justice, the Prime Minister said. All high courts must upload timeline of verdicts. Supreme Court says Justice Bagchi said there ought to be a dashboard on high court websites exclusively focusing on the reservation and pronouncement of judgment that will show the transparency and accountability of the judiciary to the people. Justice Bagchi remarked. The court, in its order on Wednesday, directed the State High Court to file reports on their existing mechanism to bring into the public domain the dates when pending judgments were reserved, the time taken between the reservation of judgment and their pronouncement, and when a pronounced judgment is actually uploaded on their official websites. The bench specially sought from the High Court details of judgment reserved after January 31, 2025, and details of pronouncements of judgments till October 31, 2025. This would include the uploading of the judgments on the website. The High Courts have been asked for their views about framing a uniform mechanism to disclose the dates of reservation, pronouncement of judgment, and their uploading on websites. The bench said the High Court could be frank about their apprehensions about laying bare such details in the public domain. The court underscored that the High Court must be frank about the adverse consequences that may result from such disclosures. In an earlier hearing of the case in September, the top court had emphasized the urgent need to evaluate the performance of High Court judges. Our intention is not to act as a school principal and monitor everything, but there should be broad guidelines. Judges should know the tasks before them. The top court had observed them. Over 600 detained across Kashmir jail premises searched from Srinagar. At least 600 individuals have been detained and found down in over 500 search operations in Kashmir over the past few days. Officials said on Wednesday. Meanwhile, scores of premises of members of the band Jamaat-e-Islam were also raided on Wednesday as part of the ongoing operation. The crackdown on suspects in Kashmir was stepped up after the Red Fort blast in New Delhi on November 10, which left 13 civilians dead. One of three doctors from South Kashmir is under the scanner for their terror links. One of them is suspected to have been the driver of the explosive laden car. Officials said DNA samples were collected from Dr. Umar Nabi's brother to match with the remains found inside the car. Dr. Nabi is the main suspect in the Red Fort blast. Scoring across Kashmir, a police spokesman said over 200 locations were raided in South Kashmir. Kulgam, also the hometown of Dr. Adil Ahmad Rathod, who is under scanner for the posters pasted by Jaish-e-Mohammed on October 19 at multiple locations in the Banpora area of Naugam, Srinagar. The posters had carried threats against police and security forces. The raids in Kulgam were carried out at the houses and premises of jail members of and their associates to dismantle the terror ecosystem and its support structure at the grassroots level. Police said Kulgam saw more than 400 cordon search operations in the past 4 days. Centers describes explosion in Delhi as terrorist incident, promises justice. The cabinet appreciates the efforts of all authorities and citizens who acted with courage in the face of adversity. Their dedication and sense of duty are deeply commendable. Ashwini Vaishnav, Union Minister, said the cabinet, the Union Cabinet on Wednesday described the car explosion near the Red Fort as a terrorist incident, expressing grief over the loss of lives and directing that the investigation be pursued with utmost urgency to bring the perpetrators, collaborators, and their sponsors to justice without delay. At a press conference, Minister Ashwini Vaishnav said the cabinet expressed its profound grief and observed 2 minutes silence in the honor of innocent lives lost. It also adopted a resolution stating that the country has witnessed a heinous terror incident perpetrated by anti-national forces. The explosion, the explosion resulted in multiple fatalities and caused injuries to several others. The cabinet pays its solemn respect to the victims of this senseless act of violence and conveys its heartfelt condolences to the bereaved families. The cabinet prays for the speedy recovery of all those injured and appreciates the prompt efforts of the medical personnel and emergency responders who have been providing care and the victims. The resolution said, partly act, Mr. Vaishnav said, the cabinet unequivocally condemned the dastardly and cowardly act and reiterated India's unwavering commitment to a policy of zero tolerance towards terrorism. The cabinet notes with appreciation the timely and coordinated response of the authorities, security agencies, and citizens who acted with courage and compassion in the face of adversity. Their dedication and sense of duty are deeply commendable, said the Union Minister. He said the cabinet had directed that the investigation into the incident be pursued with the utmost urgency and professionalism so that the perpetrators, their collaborators, and their sponsors are identified and brought to justice without delay. The situation continues to be closely monitored at the highest levels of government. The cabinet is the government's steadfast resolve to safeguard the lives of all Indians, consistent with its commitment to national security and the safety of every citizen, he added. Retail inflation hits record low of 0.25%. Most of the other categories in the CPI saw inflation higher in October 2025 than in the same month last year. Accused doctor driver visited Radford in Jan. The JMK police, while probing a monster that surfaced in Srinagar on October 17, warning local people not to assist the police and security forces. Unasked terror module involving doctors and clerics, which led to the recovery of 2,921 kilograms of explosives and multiple sophisticated weapons from JMK and Haryana in the past 20 days. Last, at least 10 people have been arrested so far. The module has been linked to the terrorist incident at the Red Fort. Dr. Maybe a member of the module is likely to have escaped the police raids in Faridabad on November 9 and 10 and caused the blast. Officials said that on November 8, more rifles, pistols, and gunpowder were recovered from Al Falah Medical College. The official added that of the 2,921 kilograms of suspected explosive material, around 2,560 kilograms was recovered from the house of Hafiz Mohammed Isti, a resident of Mewat and a cleric at Al Falah Mosque. Dr. Ghani had taken the house on rent a few months ago. The same day, Dr. Shaheen Shahid, 40, a resident of Lucknow who was working at the college, was also detained and later arrested by the JMK police. The police have also detained her brother Parvez Shahid Ansari, also a daughter who was living at Saharanpur in Uttar Pradesh. His Lucknow residence was searched by the police and a few basic mobile phones and knives were recovered. Al-Flah University distances itself from doctors accused in the blast. University Vice Chancellor expresses concern over allegations made by online platforms about laboratories being used for storing explosive materials. The police conduct door-to-door searches in Fatehpur, Taga for explosives and suspects. From Dhuguz in an eerie silence lay over Al-Falah University on Wednesday as the Faridabad police conducted several raids on campus and door-to-door searches in the nearby villages of Ghuz and Fatehpur Tega, seeking explosives, materials, and suspects connected to the Delhi car blast that killed at least 12 people on Monday.